Hello everybody, Matt here on The Planet, and today we're doing a review of the Manchester Marathon. So first of all, I'd like to thank everybody who's been following the channel and subscribing to the channel, liking and commenting on the videos and the content that we're putting out. And obviously over this weekend we've had a lot of support for the marathon, for me running the marathon, which I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It was really nice during the race where a couple of people actually come up to me and then said that they actually watch the channel.
Keep going, mate. Good channel. Hi, sorry. Watch the channel. Yeah, oh, fantastic. Fantastic. How you feeling, right? Yeah, good. We're on the planet. Long way to go yet. Yeah, well.
Which I wasn't expecting that. You know, it's just a small YouTubing channel as we are at the moment. It was really nice. And the first gentleman we saw during the race, I didn't catch your name. Apologies, sorry if you are watching the video. I forgot to ask your name during the race. As you came by me, we had a chat. And we were exchanging goals and time, and I think you said you were going for a 3:05 time, or possibly a 3:10 is where you were aiming for, and then you were just off into the sunset. So I hope you got the time you wanted. If you do watch the video, I'd really like to hear how your race went. It doesn't matter about sharing times, but just to hear about how you felt about the day and if you managed to achieve anything. It would be really good to hear that. Also, a shout out to Peter. Really good to meet with you after the race. So Peter came up and said hello to us after the race, just as we were walking back. Really good to see somebody who had a similar goal to me and has been trying to break the 3:30 in the marathon, and obviously we both achieved that today. I think you were a bit faster than me, Peter, in a 3:26, I think you said. A mark time coming in just a little bit slower than that, but we'll get into mine in a little bit. And also thanks to people who are dropping comments on Strava, sending me links to. I wasn't actually aware that the live feed. I was aware there was some kind of feed, but I wasn't aware that it was on the Manchester Marathon website. And there was a live feed there, and obviously it jumps around at points during the race from the start to the finish. And it actually captured a lot of people crossing the line and me crossing the line as well. So that was fantastic. So big thanks to JL and thanks to Gary, who both of you sent over the clips and the links. So I appreciate that. And obviously appreciate somebody, so many people, other people being interested in marathon journey. I didn't think people would be into it that much to watch the live feed and maybe possibly look for me out on the live feed as well. So that's I can't say thank you enough. Thank you very much. So let's get into the race. How did my race go? So actually let's start with a couple of days running up. So we travelled down on the Friday, and spent the Saturday preparing as best we could for the race weekend. So making sure that we got enough carbs into the body, things like that. So we managed to go out and have a pasta dinner on the Friday evening, and then I prepared my own meals. So I prepared a rice meal and a big pasta meal for the Saturday daytime and the Saturday night. And just wanted to be sure that I could trust the food that I'm putting into my body and the quantity of food I could put into my body. But I was also making sure that I was drinking a lot of electrolytes. So throughout the whole week, I've been using the Precision electrolyte tablets, and making sure I've had at least one of those or half one of those every day. And then I probably had about a tablet and a half on the Saturday, and drank that with roughly about 1.5 litres, 2 litres of water. So I made sure that I was constantly, topped up with electrolytes. And one of the things I've recently heard I'm going to link a video at the end of this video, or somewhere along the video, about keeping the salt contents up in your body, making sure you've got enough for those electrolytes in your body all the times. But actually taking on extra salts actually increases your blood volume in theory. So there's no way I could measure that, but anyway, I was making sure that I've got my blood volume up as best as possible, and it's possible that actually helped me out in the race. So on the Sunday morning we stayed in the hotel. It wasn't too far away from the start line, within relative walking distance anyway, and I took along a banana with myself, Appreciate, also got to say thanks to my wife. She was able to come along to the race with us and come up to the start line, and because it was a cold morning, I could take my jacket and my trousers up with us and keep warm until we had to move into the runners only section. So that was really good. Big thanks for supporting me in that, and also obviously if you've seen one of the videos, there's some more videos to come, but she managed to film us on the run as well, so did a great job in catching us, so thanks very much for that. So yeah, the last bit of nutrition I had before the race was basically one relatively small banana, which I probably took about an hour before we actually started the race. The race started, for me anyway, because we all started at different staggered times, me being in Red B, started at about, I think it was about 9:20ish that we started. So there was a fair bit of standing around. It was quite a cold day, probably somewhere in the region about 5 degrees, but it wasn't that windy, and unlike obviously for Manchester, it tends to get a lot of rain. The rain pretty much stayed off for the whole race. There was a few speckles of rain during say mid part of the race, but other than that it was either overcast or the sun was out. And it was dry and not that windy really. So yeah, so we managed to get away at about 9:20. And it's a fantastic course. You don't really want to. I don't really want to be able to run uphill at the very start of a race. So my strategy was to go out easy, and maybe even a little bit slower. I think I said for the first 2 kilometers I wanted to go out slow, but I probably went out a little bit slower than marathon goal pace. Marathon goal pace 4:45 minutes per kilometer, but I went out at about 5 minutes per kilometer on the first kilometer, and just take it easy. But on this track, it was pretty much downhill to start with, so that helped. And it was probably, I wouldn't be sure. Actually, let's check the Strava data. So yeah, on the Strava data, then the first kilometer actually comes in at 0 elevation gain, and then the second one at 2 meters, -2, -1, +3, 1. So the first, it's basically a flat course. And once I got going after the first kilometre, I just moved up to marathon goal pace. So I was running the first 10 kilometres at basically marathon goal pace, and it felt very, very easy. I think the fact that I've managed to work on my nutrition more, it felt so comfortable. I can't state how comfortable I actually felt running at 4:45 minutes per kilometre. I don't think I've ever felt that good in any of my running, but it was all controlled as well. I felt like I could go faster if I wanted to, but I didn't want to, and the plan wasn't to. So I managed to keep it going like that. So reading off the times, we're looking at kilometre 2, 4:40, kilometre 3, 4:43, kilometre 4, 5, 6, 4:44, kilometre 7 dipped down a little bit faster at 4:34. So it was going really, really, really well. The first problem I had, and you'll see me when I talk on camera, and I'm actually going to put another video out that shows more detail of the race, but still relatively concise. But I got to 9.3 kilometers, and
we're at 9.3 kilometers in, approaching the 10k mark. I'm just going to talk a little bit early because it's going to be water stop soon.
Got to 9.3 kilometers, and I had to pull off on the side of the road because I had the GoPro with us, I had a bottle of water, I had a tablet, it was in my pouch. I'll come on to this a bit later, but this pouch is quite difficult to get into it and get the stuff out of it. It carries stuff really well. You don't really notice it's there, but it's difficult to kind of get stuff out. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to give up a little bit of time here. So as quick as I could, I pulled over to the side of the road, pulled out my electrolyte tablets, and put a tablet into the water, and then got going again. I must have lost about 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds in that process. And we actually, the 10th kilometre came in at 5 minutes and 23 according to Strava. However, that'll probably be right on the Strava. My watch is set up to actually automatically pause, which probably isn't a good idea when you're on a marathon run. But anyway, I was thinking when it actually hit round on the 10th kilometre mark, as I give a comment to the GoPro as the video diary, 10 kilometres came in at 4 minutes and 43 minutes per kilometre, which I'm going to say is about quite right with the exception of the time that I'd taken off. The time that I actually got from the race for the first 10k split, because they gave splits at every 10k point essentially, was 4 minutes and 50 seconds per kilometre. So I thought I was about 7 seconds per kilometre faster at that point. I didn't really factor that in. But after that point, I thought I don't really want to be losing half a minute maybe, dropping electrolyte tablets into my water. So I thought about how further down the road I was going to do this, how am I going to keep running and get the electrolyte tablets into my water. And I did find a way to do that. You'll have seen that on the previous video if you've watched it. Basically managed to get me electrolyte tablet out before the water stop came up, so I had it ready in my hand, drop it in my teeth, snap it in half, screw the lid of the bottle, drop the electrolyte tablet into the bottle, or the two halves of it into the bottle, lid back on, and we were running. And I think I'm not sure if I'd even slowed down a bit. If I did, it wouldn't have been too much, but I just basically managed to keep that going. And then running on to the second set, 10 kilometres. At this stage, I hadn't had a gel. I had my first gel at 15 kilometres, and from then on, it was a case of taking the Maurten gels initially anyway, every 5 kilometres. So it worked out quite nice. I think that 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and then the last one went in at 38 kilometres. But yeah, looking at the pacing for the second set, we were pretty much on pace all the way through. If anything, maybe a few seconds behind. My watch, when I got to the 20 kilometre point, called it 4 minutes and 46 seconds. So that's, again, pretty much on pace. When I'm looking at the data from the Manchester Marathon, they give me 4:51 pace, which was actually not at the 20k mark, but at the half marathon mark. So again, quite as a split so far during the race. So again, I was quite happy with that. Just jumping right to the very end of the race, my watch came in at 42.66 kilometres, whereas obviously the race would have been 42.195. I didn't stay on the racing line for the whole race. I prefer to, rather than run on maybe maybe running in the gutter where you're running on the camber edge, I try to run on the flattest part of the circuit. So anyway, it may have been that it was 42.3, but I'm quite happy that the watch I was using with the Galileo setting, and I've seen this with when I ran the half marathon at the Great North Run. It was only about 200 metres out there, and it was probably only about 400, possibly 500 metres out at this racetrack. So I've got all credit that it's a useful tool, the Garmin 645 watch for me. So yeah, pacing, was really happy with that, and then, even then running on from kilometres 20 up to 30. There was a couple of hills in there, but still we managed to keep the pace relatively, 4:47, 4:45, 4:49. So pretty much where we wanted to be. So I was quite happy with that. And again, the Manchester Marathon app or the website, if anybody was watching it, you'll have seen it as well. My wife was tracking us, and again that came in at 4 minutes 51 minutes per kilometre. So at this point, I'm definitely trailing behind 4:45 minutes per kilometre. But at 4:51, I can't really complain of that. It's pretty much where I wanted to be. I'm aiming for 3:20, and I was going to be, a little bit behind that.